Okay, so on this one, I'm going to talk about how to use just real life pictures for them to design their own quadratic equation to fit. So what I have my kids do is go into, just have them Google images of quadratics. The real world one works really well. You could even probably do architecture, any of those kind of things to. And the other thing too is you could have them kind of do their own if you want to have them. So what we're going to do is, I've already taken this picture. You can have them, and what works the best, I think, sometimes you can go ahead and download the images. That works fine, but I also have found that just using the snipping tool and snip out your picture works really good, and then do a file save. That's kind of my preference on it, because sometimes if they start trying to download the image, they'll get it at a weird size or so forth. So I'm going to go back to my Desmos then, and so what you need to do is just go ahead and click on your add button, and we're going to add an image. Now I put mine in pictures. They can kind of put it wherever they want it. On the desktop, whatever works best, but pictures works really well, just as long as they know where it's at. And it's going to insert in. So the picture is inserted in. Now at this point, they can do a lot of different things according to how difficult you want to make it for them. These buttons, of course, makes it bigger or smaller, so you can have them adjust it to whatever you want. This button in the center will allow them to move it around. So if you want to make it easy for them and have the vertex just moved up or down, you can move it over however you want it. So you can kind of make it, like I said, difficulty level. That's up to you as how you want to make them. So I'm going to go ahead and set mine picture about right here. So then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to come in, and I'm going to write an equation for that smallest parabola. And so I tell my kids, just because it is, of course, the easier, I think, form, is we're going to do it in vertex form. And so if they know their vertex form, they should not have any trouble going over here real quickly and finding their vertex. Mine looks to be about 9, maybe 1.5. And so I'm going to go ahead and type in 9. And it moved it up 1.5, and I'm just going to kind of see if that's where it looks like it's at now. And then they could play with their decimals a little bit. There it goes. That looks a little bit better on that. Now obviously I need to flip it upside down, and so and now once I flipped it, it does look like maybe I need to move it a little higher. Okay, and so I've kind of got it set where I think it's going to need to be. Obviously, it's not wide enough, so now I know to go in and change. I'm going to put in a 1/2. That's not enough. Maybe a 1/4, and that's too much. So maybe a 1/3. And you can decide. Maybe you want to have them get your permission as to whether they've matched it well enough on that. Mine, as far as the quadratic, this mapping up here, that looks pretty good. Mine's a little distorted because the picture, I think, but you could have them, really adjust it. Maybe I need to change this and move it up still just a hair, to make it a little bit better, and then that might make me have to move my parabola in so that it's not too much. You can decide if you want to allow them to put decimals in there, how you want to write their fractions. I prefer just to have them 1/. So now not only do I do that, and again, this is your call as to where you're at and what you want them to do, but I do have them put in their domains, because obviously the water stops my graph, and so it looks like it's at maybe a 5.5. I'm going to try that. And then at 12. Let's try that. Okay, and then so when I look at it, I'm like, okay, obviously it goes further than 12, so I need, I'm going to put in a 12.5, see if that works. Okay, and I like them using the X's. You could have them use the Y's, but I do like having them use the X's. And so I look at mine, and if I was grading this on the kids, I would say, you're still a little bit off. So I think maybe this is not quite 5. Let's try 5.6. Yeah, that looks better. That pulls it on up. And 12.4, maybe 4 or 5. So again, you can be picky as you want on that, but it really does help them see what it is. And again, I like putting in that domain. Now, if this was my kids' problem here, I would make them do all of them because that's the picture they chose. The same way if they came into their images, let's say they did the McDonald's, I would want them to do too. This one right here would be an excellent one. For many, many things, because not only do you have the positives, but you have the negatives. That would be an awesome one. This one down here, whoops, it's not what I wanted to click on, but oh well, would be another one. And this one looks like an activity, and there you go. There's an activity from GeoGebra that somebody has, okay? And, there's different things here. Here is, and maybe I'll throw this link on there, a good thing to do. Quadratics in real world, again, using basketball, and that's something that the kids like to do. That's not opening, but I will maybe go back in and load that for you. Okay, so that is using the Desmos and doing pictures.